Hey there, it's me again, Miss Lisa, the sewing lady of Pinellas Park, Florida, United States of America. We've got a loaded show today. Unfortunately, the showing of the Singer 15 Really Sewing is going to wait a week because the sewing room that it's in is like all sewing rooms. It's a mess. And I was working on a sewing machine on top of that one, and it's kind of needs to be left where it is. So we'll do that again. We are going to talk about darts. Now, darts are the things that take a dress like mine and brings it in. See how nice and tight it looks? You know, and it has that extra sex appeal. Well, I want to introduce you to Dolly. Dolly has been with me for about 6 months. I actually picked her up at a secondhand store, and her original body underneath all this is actually a size 10. I definitely am not a 10. So, I'm going to give you a brief look of what I did to make Dolly Dolly. There is a lot of padding right here where there's a lot of fluff on my body. I also have the elastic here around for the main reason that that's where my waistline is. Now there's a lot of things I couldn't change on Dolly, so every so often you'll notice me making adjustments. But Dolly is my body when I need it, because you know how hard it is trying to pin something and seeing it through a mirror and the whole fun. So, let's get to it. Alright, remember this thing? Whoops, got two things. This was my croaky. Now I'm going to put it inside out because it's easier for you to see how to dart when it's inside out. Dolly's really good. She doesn't fuss. She doesn't make it difficult to put a dress on her. That's why I love her. And see how easy it is to get her on there? I do recommend, if you ever get a chance, to get one for yourself, because boy does it come in handy. And as you can see, I didn't do my modifications like I said. Bad girl. What can I say? I'm a busy lady. Now, as we notice, and this is my body in here, I have that much fabric too much. That's a lot of fabric, especially now that I want to start showing off a little bit more, because I'm losing weight, lost 6 pounds, yay! So, darts. Now, the first dart that you're going to learn, I am not going to do a bust dart from the side. That will be another one because I need to set up a different croaky to show you that. And for you guys, don't walk away. This one's going to cover something for you. If you like the Italian fitted shirts, you'll like this, because they make you look really fit and make you look like you got a lot of muscle because you taper everything in. But if you're on the slightly pudgy side, it may not work as well. Since you're making your own pattern, you can try it. You can pin one out, and if it doesn't look good, you can take it out. That's all. Okay, the ones I'm going to show you today are the ones, here's my bust right here, and my waist is there. Now, I want to take in a bunch of fabric, and I'm going to do this just so you can see this is the center of the bust, because you need to kind of line up with that guy, and she's over here, so yep, we're making sure she's got a body point here. Oops. Yeah, it's in here. Sorry, kind of hard to tell. But you never take the point all the way up to there. If you do, you'll have this big ripple right there and it won't look nice. So, when you dart, one of the nice darts for the front of a dress is when you start here, you make it bigger, and then you get to your waist and you make it smaller. Okay? And I'm going to mark it so you can see what I did. You know, it ends up going like this. And the waist, and then over like this. Actually, this should be a little more rounded, but you know it's hard to draw on fabric when everybody's watching. But this particular dart takes it in, gives you a little bit more of a finished look. It doesn't look like you just did this all at one time and blah, you didn't really work at it. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And before I do the other side, I'm going to show you. This is where it starts. This is where it ends. Now some people like it a little higher, like right at the waist. I like it just a little bit lower because it will spread out a little bit at that point, and I think it just gives you a little more definition. Okay, you got that one. So you make sure they're even. Big, important moment there. If they're not even, you're going to start looking funny. Now I'm going to change out this pin because it turned out to be a needle. Yeah, my pin box is full of everything. Okay. And then you make sure the bottom one is about the same spot. Always make sure that you've got them lined up. If you are not sure, this is what a ruler's for. Take the ruler straight across. If anybody is out of spots there, then that's when you change it. I'm going to mark this one so you can see it. Might do better on this one because it's flatter. And we're going to start here. And then, yeah, this one's coming out better. Okay. And then they narrow it way down to here. That's pretty much what it looks like. Now, that took care of the front. Yeah, whatever you do to the front, you try to do to the back. It's one of those, you can get away with only doing the front. But most times, you need the definition in the back to make the front work. Otherwise, it makes you look like you got a tent back here, and you got a tight front in the front. You really want to think about that. So, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pin the back closed at the top here so I can do my work. Now, the back doesn't always get as thick of one because usually there isn't as much room there. But you start about here. Pardon me. And I would end about there and there. Same deal. I'm going to bring it down. And it's rounded now. When I pin it, you'll see where these points are is where the fabric folds. So you make sure that they fold. Then you pin it. One thing I like to do is pin just above the holes, or the black marks here, and below the one on the bottom. You'll see why when I sew. One thing you have to know when you sew these, doing the forward and return, you don't want to do them because they'll show. Okay. Alright. Alright, we have to pin the other side. And like I said before, you want your dots to match. So, here's my top dot. Just a hair above that little dot, not much more, okay? And then this one, I marked a little too far over, so we'll just work it that way. And I'm going to mark this one as well. Whoops. Now, this is a point. This fabric should come straight down. If it's not coming straight down and you make a dart, see, nope, that one's wrong there. Okay? So, you want to make sure that your dart comes straight down with the fabric. If you turn your fabric around, you're going to have what's called the bias. And when you have the bias, maybe 2 washes, doesn't look so good. And you're like, I don't know why. Well, that's why. So let's go back and do this one. Just a little off, just the bottom. And see, it's even hard for me sometimes to do these things. So don't ever think that, you know, I'm perfect. You know, I have my moments too. Sometimes I forget what I'm doing. I'm sure you all have done that too. But see, it took it in. And it's just a little dart. You can make a bigger dart, you know. And the thing is, you know, realize that the dart is going to come out. And when it comes out like that, you usually have a little more taken in, you know, than a regular old dart would be. Now, I'm just double checking the front ones. Now that I look at mine, I realize I want a little more dart. So what I'm going to do with this one, let's see if I can do it this one. I'm going to bring it out just a little more. And then come back there. And do the same thing on this side. Why? Because I want it to look a little slimmer. You know, you lose weight, you want to start showing it off. Now, doing marker, standing up with fabric, is not the easiest thing. So nobody make fun of how badly I drew it. Just get the idea that you're moving fabric, you're bringing it in. For those of you who've never done this before, one of the things you want to do, you got the pins at the bottom, then you're going to want to put a pin at the center, right there, because you're going to stitch right around there. Now there's a lot of different kinds of darts you can use, and most of them, well, they don't work on short people, and I'm short. So if I did what they call a fisheye, which is a line here, here, and way down here, guess what? This one fit. And I would not like it. So that's why we're making a short one. Fish eyes are very long, and you usually see them in some of the couture dresses, but not lately. I don't know why baggy is in. And you might see them as decorative darting. A lot of people will put a dart in and they'll sew a trim over it just to highlight it and maybe bring it up and around, whatever, just to add to the glamour of their dress. So always keep that stuff in mind, because there's so much more you can do with the sewing machine than just straight stitch or zigzag. So remember, this machine is phenomenal. It does so much. It's just you have to learn how to use it. So what I'm going to do now is take the dress off here, and we're going to give Dave a minute so he can detach the camera, because he's got a wing right close so you can see what I'm doing. Now mind you, the sewing machine might be louder than me. I am going to try to speak louder and hope I'm not shouting at you. So, give us a minute. Okay, I'm back. The camera's set up better, because if I wasn't, you wouldn't see what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to show you how to stitch the dart. It's very important to know how to do it and do it right. There are so many ways out there that they'll tell you, but this is the right way, and the only time you do this different is if you are doing industrial sewing, which I would say most of you don't. So this is just regular household sewing machine. You do it this way, you have a nice looking dart. Alright, I'm gonna stitch this. Now, I was looking at one of my books before I did this, because, hey, I need to look and make sure I'm giving the right directions. And I found it interesting that a book that's been around since before zigzags, so it's a while, they have a different way of stitching it. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I'd never seen it before. Instead of cutting it this way, right around the very, very edge, like on the crease as best as you can, they would stitch down just a little bit, not a whole lot. In fact, I would say maybe 4 or 5 stitches. But you got to make sure before you start, you got a long tail. Okay? And watch, we don't do any reverse and forward to lock it in, because that's what makes it go bunchy. And I'm here to tell you, as many times as I did it before I knew, it never looked quite right, and you want it to look right. So what we do is, I have mine lined up so close to the edge. In fact, I'm even going to go closer. And I'm going to give it 4 or 5 stitches there. But remember, no back and forth. So, I'm going to do it slow. And where I did it, it stops just where my dart starts. Now at this point, you want to be changing it to an angle. If you saw, my needle's all the way down. So, look, you could swing it around, it ain't gonna do anything. The wonders of the needle. Okay. Now, I may not stay exactly on my line. I'll come close, but I'm not always so good at following lines. You know, it's like following directions. If they got pictures, I'm really good. Sometimes the reading of them is confusing. And I'm an intelligent woman. Alright, now I'm going to sew this. And it's going to... Hey, I'm not doing too bad. I'm almost on the lines. So, there is hope for me. Oh yeah, you know that thing about taking your pins out? Believe it or not, I have old sewing books that tell you to leave them in. And you know what? If you go very slow, now we're back to that really fine edge again, and I gotta go over one more stitch to make it work. There it is. Okay. Let me get my fabric out of the hole. Okay. But something I did learn. When Singer first made the foot so it could move up and down, that was to go over the pins, because the first ones you couldn't do it. Now, I found if you go very slowly when you come to a pin, you'll probably be fine. But for those of you who are very nervous or have been told you have to take the pins out, you can do it. I mean, it's your thing, okay? But this is my thing. Alright, I'm back to that really, really fine edge. And I'm going to make just a couple more stitches, which can be really hard sometimes because this sewing machine, which is one of my favorites for regular work, is maybe a little temperamental, not a lot. I mean, she does a good seam. Alright, this is a really big dart. And once we finish the other one, I'm going to show you what they look like. Because when you see them in a pair and you see them where they go, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know what this is. I know all about this. Okay, we're going to start again that very, very fine edge. It's kind of hard. I mean, I even have a thing that shows me the center, but this is like, oh, just a hair off center. There we go. And I'm going to start down, and then I'm going to curve. I pick up the foot, spin it on the needle, so I can start making my angle. This time I'm pulling the pin because it's getting in the way. That is one time where I actually do insist on taking it out. If your pin is stopping you from going forward with the sewing, it's probably an idea for you to consider doing that. Alright, we're just a little bit beyond the point. That little dot I made at the bottom. This is always the tough part, trying to get in right next to the edge of the fabric. And sometimes, like with my sewing machine, the fabric will go down in the hole. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm raising it out of the hole. You'll get the hang of this eventually. And then I'm just doing that couple of stitches. Alright. Now, this time, remember, no backward stitches. What you want to do is you want to pull out a lot of thread. Trust me, this is not a wasteful thing, because when you try to make knots on these things, believe me, you want the extra thread. Some days I feel like they're sausages, and making a knot is like, oh, I don't think so. So that's why a long cord is a good idea. And in my case, I made a boo-boo, but that's okay, I can work it out. You make a knot, okay? In this one, I'm just going to wrap around the other piece. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm making a loop, and I'm taking my thread through it. And hopefully, I'm going to lasso this tiny piece because I don't know why I cut short. And then we'll have a knot down here. The knot will keep better than anything. And that's the reason why you do it. Now I try to do a double knot just for the sake of, well, better to trust two than only one. So, of course you know this is going crazy there. So what we do is we take the one that's nice and long and we tie it just like you tie your shoes. And you can tell I don't tie shoes anymore, huh? You tie it. Don't go too tight, just till it comes to the edge of the fabric. Then tie it again, like I said. 2 knots are better than 1. And then snip your thread. Okay? Now, that was the front dart. The back dart, it's the same deal. Okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to put this on dolly so you can see how nice it looks. Now, I'm going to take her pins out of her back for the moment. And I'm not going to worry about those back darts yet, because I want to make sure how deep my front darts went. If they went a little deeper than I thought, it might be good for me to maybe do more narrow ones in the back. So we're going to put her on dolly, and you'll get to see what I'm doing. Now, I think Dave might need a second. So we're going to take a couple seconds to reset the camera so Dolly gets her show. Okay? Alright guys, I'm back. I got her on Dolly. Guess what? I can show you I made one good dart and I made one bad dart. So, we will show you the bad dart. This is the bad dart. You know why? She went at an angle. I should have laid the fabric down and made sure my fold was exactly up and down. I didn't. Hey, even I get them wrong. We'll do better. Okay, this one came out okay. It's straight down. See how much fabric this shows here? That gives a bit of room for, you know, the good old belly. But it takes it in up here, and it starts to give me a little more definition. It makes me look a little sexier, and that's what we want. So, that is the right way. This is the wrong way. Hey, if I don't teach you both, you'll never know which one was wrong. But when you press this out, you probably lose this little ripple that I've got there. Now, this little ripple is just because you gotta press everything out. The other thing that you might want to do, and I'm gonna show you a dart that I made. Of course, it's not exactly like those darts. And I know it's in here. Where'd it go? Here it is. Okay. You see this dart here? It's got this space right here. This is a matter of choice. I know in some European magazines, like the Berta magazine, they show cutting this or just nipping it. So it hangs a little better like that. Okay? Try not to go too close to the stitching because it'll tear apart. Some people would take that and then they'd stick their cutter and they would snip this way down, like almost to the point of it. Now this is hard to do because it's two pieces of fabric that want to stick to each other, and I don't know, I guess I don't have my miracle hands. I handed my magic off to somebody else. Okay, there's some. And they'll take it down almost to the bottom. And then they'll do the same thing going up. Yes, I'm using my nippers. You probably should be using scissors for this, but this is easier for me right at the moment. Because I left my scissors in the sewing room. Okay, the thing you want to do, if you decide to do this, is you open it up and you press. You press and press and press. Iron is the one thing you must have available. You can get them for 10 bucks at Walmart. Maybe they're 12 now. But hey, I've picked some up at garage sales. I picked them up at the secondhand stores. There's a really great thrift store. I got one for $1. So, hey, you need it. You really need it when you sew. If you don't have one, this is a trick that a tailor showed me. Tailor is the man that does the sewing for men, for those who don't know. Okay, if you're in a rush or you don't have your iron, what you do, put one finger underneath, one finger up. You're gonna need fingernails for this part. And you go right down the seam with your fingernails and you can get that flattened down. Some people use it for quilting too. I don't. I really like the other way with the darts. I know this looks very nice because look at how nice it shapes. And it gives you a little bit more in there. The other option for this is dollies, where you have that big chunk of fabric that you stitched in. There's a big chunk of fabric inside. You're supposed to iron it so it goes out to your armpit. If you do it going in, it's not the right way. Okay, and then you do the same with the other side. But as you can see, I did my darts, even though that guy's wrong. And look, I have this nice little amount of fabric that kind of comes in, it tucks in a little bit at the waist, but I think I need the back darts because I want it to be a little more. I'll have to tell you a joke sometime about this fitting thing, but I can't remember the whole joke. But see, you know, you really like to have it fitted so it looks good. Now, for it to look good, it looks like I'm going to take it in a little more than I originally planned. But that's okay, because I haven't stitched it yet. I can make marks, I can take it in a little bit, or I could just stick with the ones I've got here and take it in on the sides. Taking it in on the sides has good points and bad points. And I'm here to tell you, I've really learned about this because my whole life all the side seams end up not fitting right. They're all meant for tall people with deep armholes. And you know what? When you're short and your armhole's showing your whole bra, not so good, especially at my age. So if you take it in a little bit on the side, always remember you need that ease. Remember, that's that extra fabric, so the dress isn't what I call a standing only dress. You still want to make sure you can sit down in it and you don't see stress wrinkles across the front. That's no good. That makes you look like you stuffed yourself in a size too small. We never want to do that. Even though I know I cannot wait till I get to a 14. I'm still not going to shove myself in one size smaller until I can fit in it. Right now, my 18 is going to become a 16. Never thought I'd see that number again. I am thrilled. So, this is the regular up and down darts. Now these are the important ones for shaping. The other one that I'll be showing you, I need to make a piece so there's extra fabric here to do it with. But I can show you a little bit on this one. Okay, for this one, a lot of women want the dart because, hey, you got to make this fit. You know, we're not all flat. For those that are flat, I'm not being nasty. It's just you don't have the problems us big ladies do. And the thing is you got to know where your point is so you can start your angle. And, you know, thank goodness this was a good one. And say I want to put a dart in right up here. I would not do these two darts together, okay? But I would do this one or this one. A lot of women prefer this one and then let the dress kind of hang out. If you want it to tuck in and come narrow, like if you like the narrower bottom dresses, this is the pleat for you. This one, if you have big breasts, you're probably going to want to learn how to do that one. I'm going to do a full part on this maybe next time, so this was probably going to be a part 1, but I really want you to see how darts are done. Without a dart, you can get away with it. I mean, I get away with it with this, but if you notice, I got a bit of bunching up here. I did the gathering on this. When I did the gathering, gave me room. If I didn't do the gathering and I just let it lay flat, guess what? I would be sucking it in and probably not sitting in this dress because there wouldn't be enough room. Just remember, we're not flat here. We're not boards. We have space out here we need to take care of. And so that means the dress has got to come out in the front a bit. So that's important. You know what? I think this is a good time to end this. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys go. Think about what I did. Maybe practice would be nice. And then I need you to do those same 3 things I bring up every time. And it is the... Alright, give me a moment. I always forget the first one. So David, what is it?
Like, subscribe,
it's free.
and then hit the notification bell.
Hit the notification bell. Share what you learn. It's so important. I want the world to know how to sew, not just one person. I want everybody to know. And as it was given freely to me, I give it freely to the world. Thank you. See you next week.